Okay, well, thank you guys very much for taking the time to join Jeff and I, our Lunch and Learn, our monthly Lunch and Learn. This month's topic is going to be about overage and contamination fees. I'm Joel Allen, one of the sales reps here, along with Jeff, who's
Hi guys, good to see a few familiar faces on here. Thanks for joining us.
Jeff's been working with Global Disposal since the very beginning in 2009, and so his expertise really comes in the him being able to see all the changes that have taken place in the waste and recycling industry, specifically when it comes to contamination overages fees. And so we're going to have a little presentation for you that Jeff's going to he's kind of our keynote speaker today and go over with you guys. And then at the end, we will leave it for questions. Just a reminder, number one, if you guys can put your email address and the company in which you work for in the chat, just for our records, we would really appreciate it. As you guys know, some of you guys have been working with Global Disposal. Some of you, this is new. Our company's been around since 2009. We manage over 200 multifamily properties up and down the state of California. Mostly here in San Diego, but we do go up to the Bay Area as well. So that question of where do you service, we usually like to answer that with everywhere. We also manage about a little over 100 businesses, all their waste and recycling as well. And the goal of these Lunch and Learns first is to just empower and educate you as property managers of understanding the waste and recycling industry and how it's changing. That's what we currently do for all of our clients. Our goal is obviously to create overall less waste and obviously save properties money. We want to hold haulers accountable for their services and their fees. And then obviously our job is we work for you guys, the property manager. Our goal in any time we're servicing a property and working with a property manager is to make your guys' life easier. And so today's presentation that Jeff's going to go over just here in a minute is everything that we're currently doing from a company standpoint to fight these overage and contamination fees that are appearing on our trash bills. And we're really this is our secret sauce. This is what you guys could do if you wanted to take the time as property managers. This is what we've seen as successful. And we also know it's going to change over time as well, as we're all kind of learning the industry as it's changing. So with that being said, I'm going to start the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff, and we'll save for some questions at the end. Thanks again for joining, and we are going to start the presentation.
Cool. Well, hey, thank you guys, everybody. So I'm going to go through some of this real quick. This first slide is just to kind of give a basic, if people don't work with us, some of the things that we do. Joel went through it really quick, but our goal is to reduce overall cost of waste and recycling at your properties. We're looking to really make the manager's life a lot easier when it comes to servicing your trash. And as we get into some of this contamination and overage stuff, you'll see how in the last 10 years, even I can say I'd be a testament to this, and I'm sure most of you can who've been in the industry for a while. Servicing and managing your trash has become much more labor intensive with these contamination and overage charges. So we're working on doing that. We're reducing the fees and how much you have to pay for them, and then some of the things that we do at Global too is just provide more educational material for people to do a better job with this. And then like always, we're trying to provide additional, like a more robust waste service for your residents to utilize. So sometimes if we can add more things than just trash and recycling, those are a few things on the list there. So, okay, go ahead and switch. Cool. So an overage defined by the hauler is typically the lid being 10 inches or more above the full point on a trash bin. And what we find, and we're going to get into this a little bit more too, is all these things really need to be validated, because we'll find all the time that some of these are not legitimate overages. And that's one thing that we're really trying to work on. The contamination is when something ends up in your trash stream that shouldn't be there. What we found is we've really had the nature of the industry change from what we're typical of seeing in these contamination fees. One of the bans for as why what we've seen is China has really made back in 2019 they implemented a program called Green Sword, where it's just less amount of contamination that they were typically accustomed to, and that's come down and trickled downstream to the haulers to what they can accept in the recycling stream. And just a little piece of history on what's going on with these things is back 10 years ago, when we'd see an overage, we used to kind of say, well, okay, well, our other bin was half full, right? You guys can go ahead and take it out of there. Are we getting a refund for that kind of stuff? The haulers have really completely changed the game on what is expected for these overage fees, and it's become more of a nature of what we're getting accustomed to. I mean, we'll see these on our bills all the time now, and they're getting much better at doing it. I can tell you, Waste Management, I would say, is typically the global leader in the industry, and they have gotten way better at doing this kind of stuff, where even in the Southern California market and Northern California market, we saw that they put video cameras on their trucks. And it used to be that the driver would take a picture and it kind of be up to driver's discrepancy. Well, now a video is being shot of your bin as they drive up to it, and then as it's dumped. So basically those videos are triggering a system that it takes a photograph of something, if it's not supposed to be in your bin, or if it's an overage, then it gets sent off, and then to like probably like a workforce team, and then they're taking that, putting it on your bill. And then in addition to that, these bills come out, and then it goes to an inside sales team where they call us all the time, and we'll also get emails all the time where it says, hey, like, you guys need to work on your operations. Our operations guys are having a hard time servicing your bins. Really, that means you just have an overage, right? And it could be in residential, maybe somebody moved out, right? So like, there's plenty of reasons why this could be happening, but their first goal is to say, hey, why don't you pick up an extra day? Well, if you have 8 bins and you're only seeing it at one location, or maybe it was a one-off situation, like a move off, all of a sudden you've just increased your bottom line to the hauler, their revenue stream went up. Or they'll sit and pepper you with these overage fees, which we're going to get into, why we're working on this. You can go ahead and switch. So some of our process is conducting audits and right sizing to get these overages out of the way. Sometimes you can adjust your bin to a larger bin size or more frequent pickups. We work on educating and engaging residents. Employees are a lot easier because, if you work at a restaurant or something, you're able to go through the restaurant manager saying, hey, this is costing you money. Sometimes in the HOA world or an apartment world, it's not that easy to go do that. So it's kind of constantly going back. We've gotten these stickers that we can put on your bins that say no plastic bags in red. And I'll tell you, honestly, every time I see these contamination photos, it's always a plastic bag. Sometimes it's something more obvious and we'd be more willing to pay for stuff like that. But if it's one plastic bag full of recycling, it's hard to eat those numbers. And in a private market, we're having to pay for that kind of stuff. In a franchise location, you have a little more leverage because you have the city behind you. Unfortunately, some cities are approving higher rates of contamination photos. We were in Riverside County the other day and they saw that they're charging $83 for a contamination photo that we're charging for $9 in the open market. So you have to play within the realm of the franchise that you're in. And unfortunately, depending on where you're at, whatever the city has approved, that's what you're going to have to go with. But we are going to have to make sure they're legitimate. And then we have a little bit more leverage to say, hey, this isn't an overage, or hey, this isn't a contamination photo. So there are some pluses and minuses for each location that you're in. And then honestly, this is where the work part comes in. A lot of you managers are probably seeing these invoices and you're having to approve them and you're seeing, gosh, there's $150 here, or gosh, there's, 7 charges this week. That doesn't even make sense. That's where the work part comes in, and you guys are have to go through and validate. And that's what our team is working to get better at doing too. And we actually are building a system that is going to help us really automate this and have a much more streamlined process. Like we said, I mean, over the last 10 years, we've really seen this ramp up. And I would say, waste management technology is top of the line so far at getting to, get these extra charges on your invoices and really kind of push for higher service levels. Republic's catching up too. And then Waste Connections and all these other haulers really you're starting to see jump on board. You see one person do it, that's working really well. You see a really rough market with contaminations, you're going to see this continuing to happen. Everybody's going to be on board with this process kind of soon. So that's just something to keep in mind. So next one, this is an example of, I think this was the Riverside County invoice. You're probably seeing this on your invoices all the time. And what you have to do is when you go through, you look at the day that these are getting hit. If it's a contamination photo, you're going to have to ask for all the contamination photos to be sent. You click through them, make sure that they're legitimate photos. Something that we do a lot of times with the overage is I look at the day and I'll say, okay, that's 11/23. And I'm not going to go into look right now, but what day was that? If it's on a Monday, for example, maybe we can adjust service days without increasing service. Like I said, if you get a call from somebody in their inside sales team looking to increase your service levels, their first inclination is going to say, hey, I put together a proposal. This is going to probably fix your issue, and this is going to be your new rate. Our first inclination is going to say, hey, okay, let's go on site. Let's see, that's a 3-yard bin. Can we make it a 4-yard? Is the 3-yard bin on a Monday? Do we service Saturday here? Maybe we won't make it such a long lapse over the weekend. So there's a lot of questions that you can look into before you go ahead and increase service on these. And then last, when you look at these photos, are these legitimate photos? Let's go to the next one. So here's an example of a photo. I mean, can you guys tell anything from this photograph? I would say no, right? So I'm not paying for a photo like that. So a lot of times you're going to go into these situations. I think we have a couple more, right? Yeah, where what is this of? So if they don't have a legitimate photo, don't pay for it. Make sure you let them know. And that's something that we can kind of continually work on. And like Joel said, this is something that we're working on doing for you. So if you pay it on the first month and then we get it removed the next month, then you're going to see a credit on the next invoice. These are just some examples. And then this kind of goes into Waste Smarter, and it breaks out a little bit of how we're looking to basically make this system work a lot smoother for yourself and our company to get better here at just keeping up with how labor intensive this can be to make sure that we're being very prudent in reviewing an invoice. I'll say, like we've had to do a lot of work on our end to keep up with this. And I'm guessing it's a ton of work on your end as well.
So I'm just going to jump in with Jeff. So yeah, this program that we've created, I think when we first started, we had, a few of the people in our billing department that was, a few years ago, starting to see these overages and these charges. And obviously for us who manages, we have, 8,000 to 10,000 trash bills every single month that we're having to look over. In the very beginning, we had man hours do it. So we created this program called Waste Smarter, where what we do is we put everything through the system, every single one of the invoices that we manage. And our system, we call it OCRs. It goes in and takes a look at any of the discrepancies within the bill. So if we know the bill was supposed to be, $3,000 and this bill comes in at $3,250, it kind of goes through, and we just have a little video showing that as we're clicking through, it's pulling out all of those overages and those fees, and it's alerting us. It's almost red flagging our billing department, say, hey, listen, there's a discrepancy in this invoice. And so then what we do is do exactly what Jeff tried to show you on that last thing. As we go through, we look at photos. We make sure the hauler is, that they were legitimate. We make sure that the pictures are matching up with what the fee is on the bill. And then we're going to go through, and we're not actually going to pay for all of that because we know that we shouldn't. And so that's kind of what this program Waste Smarter is. It's taken what we were doing with man hours and what we thought we had on maybe 5 to 10% of our bills, and it's automated it to where every single waste and recycling bill is going to go through this system, because now thousands of bills every month are having these fees on it. And so this is what we've done as a company to try to keep up with the time as things are changing. Just so you guys, that was just a little, show of what we kind of are doing with the company with Waste Smarter. Go ahead, Jeff.
So with that, I guess we'll open it up for some questions. We really just kind of wanted to do a quick overview. I know most of you, if you're paying your waste bills, are probably familiar with some of the charges and probably racking your brain about how you can keep up with them too. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to help out and give any advice I can. I think, as you guys know, some of the easiest way that we can help is if you guys are interested in having us look at a property that's getting tagged with a lot of this stuff, just send us a waste invoice, and honestly, we'll be able to pull a lot of information from that. And even with Waste Management System, their online platform is allowing us to do a lot of data pulling from that too. We'll be able to see the photos you've gotten over historically, and probably give you guys some advice, and then hopefully give you a proposal so we can help take that over, save you guys a bunch of time dealing with it, and save your clients money on paying for some of these outlandish fees, and probably trying to avoid reducing some of these requests for increase of service and et cetera. So
yeah, I think what we wanted to share with you guys was what we're doing on our end. And like we said, we're not trying to keep any secrets. This is just what it's taken as the waste and the industry's change. And this is what it's taken from us and our company to make sure we're giving our clients what we promise, which is, the most cost effective, easy, best customer service we can. And so it was just important for us to to kind of let you guys know this is what we're doing, and this can be done by you guys as a property manager. We just know that you're not managing typically just one property, and so that's why our goal is to take that workload off of you guys and be here as a support group for that. Looks like we had a question in the chat. Is China the only recycler handling items?
So not necessarily. I think we're looking to have American infrastructure improve with this. And I know that when they did this, our industry was ramping up. I think when you see haulers really investing locally, we're seeing some of that material that was getting dispersed off to China handled locally as well. But it depends, recycling is a commodity just like anything else. So, plastic material holds less value than other material, where cardboard fibers and papers are a little bit easier to work with mills and have those refurbished locally or in our nation, I guess. So not everything is going to China, but historically, that's where we were sending everything, and it was kind of like United States dumping ground for material we didn't want to deal with, and they could handle it and process it more effectively than we could, because I think that we have different regulations and different cost platforms. So that's why a lot of it was being sent there. Also, a lot of material, we were buying a lot of our products there, and then the shipping containers were going back empty. So it ended up being a real useful way to keep shipping containers moving back and forth full. So I think it was just the nature of the industry that happened for a while. But, like a great example is like EDCO really invested in our northern San Diego County and put in a processing plant that's going to be handling organic material waste, and a lot of that's going to stream through there. So I think we're trying to do a better job of handling our trash streams. Hope that answers your question.
All right, you guys. Well, listen, thank you.
There's one more.
Oh, okay. How do we get residents to stop using plastic bags? Are you talking about kitchen plastic trash bags or shit? Yeah, I'll let Jeff handle that.
So the unfortunate thing is it depends on the hauler in this situation. And I can tell you, and it probably depends on where you're located with that type of material. What's unfortunate is we'll see a plastic bag and it might be full of recycling, but you're still going to get tagged with a contamination fee locally by Waste Management, or actually anywhere by Waste Management, where locally with EDCO so far we're not seeing that happening. It might go that direction. Some of the concerns they're saying is, sometimes that's filled with trash. Another one is it used to be tagged as recyclable, but it's only recyclable in a very high quantity and high density. So even at those shopping centers where they'll take them back, it is recyclable. But when you're pulling a plastic bag out and you're trying to get all the rest of the material, that's what we're finding is an issue. So to get them out of the contamination stream, I think stickers are a really good example, like big red stickers to say no plastic bags. Educating your residents to say, hey, this is costing us money. It's requiring us to increase dues. It's never going to be perfect. I've seen where maintenance people can keep an eye on it. If you have that type of manpower, where if you check the bins on a Monday morning, you're going to get picked up. You see one on the top. If I'm ever doing an audit, I'll grab one and toss it in the trash. So that's something where it's going to be a struggle, but it really is kind of a learning process for everyone, and kind of a changing of our general understanding of plastic bags shouldn't go in the recycling anymore when it used to. So.
Yeah, a couple of the other questions. What about Republic? Yeah, they essentially followed suit with Waste Management. Yep. So they're right behind them, doing the same exact thing. If there are plastic bags in the recycling, they're dinging those for contamination. The same with overages. Yeah. And yet, that the second question from Cheryl, do we tell people just to be dumping the recycling? Yeah, that's the only way to really ensure that there's a possibility of not getting a contamination fee. I know, nobody likes to not have a lined trash can, because obviously, especially with like cans and bottles and things, it leaks. But yeah, that is the best way to do it. You can dump it with the trash bag in there, but just keep the bag and throw the bag into the trash. Yep. That's probably the best way to do it. But yeah, that's the sort of communication we have. And yeah, so we do have signage and stickers. We can create anything that any property wants specific to their property based on what they are having thrown away or recycled. So if we currently work with your property, yes, you can just let us know what you think you need. We can also go out to the property, take a look at it, and give you what our advice would be on how we would help communicate and educate to your residents. Yeah, and I would just say, with at least with your question, I mean, as good as anybody, like these local haulers are kind of getting purchased by the big haulers that have the technology that they're putting on their trucks, and they have their teams and resources, and they look at this as a big business opportunity, really. I mean, to be frank, you're seeing Waste Management, all the waste stocks have gone up, and supposedly it's one of the worst waste markets, so I think this is a way that it's a revenue stream. So kitchen plastic bags are not okay. So I think that question from Cheryl, no, that they would take that photo and they would ding you for a contamination fee. So that question, is it on toters? So right now we're seeing it mainly on dumpsters, but I would say get ready. I would see like when you see these cameras, I could see them going individually, and I think in some markets they probably have. It's just another opportunity, and like I said, this is how technical these things are getting. They're going to take a video of them dumping it in front of a specific residence with a GPS coordinate showing this is where it was. Now, these are not always perfect. So we've actually shown like examples where they say, here's the GPS coordinate, here's the photograph. And then we'll say, no, this is a shopping center. That's an apartment complex. So they're not ideally perfect, but I think they're going to be getting there to where they could tag, resident 123 at Sunshine Drive and be able to get,
and then probably put it on the HOA's invoice, or, you know, put it on an individual's invoice. So I do see it going there. I haven't personally seen that on an invoice yet. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's at least a question.
And I think that's why, you know, currently with the three main haulers, just the last of it with Republic, Edco, and Waste Management, typically Republic and Waste Management come in at a lower cost originally sometimes. And that's why Edco's a little bit higher, maybe 20-25% higher, but then they are really currently not charging those fees. And so it's, you know, if I was running, if it was, you know, I had a building, I would look probably, you know, Republic and Waste Management would have the lowest cost, but if I'm not efficient with it, and if I'm not educating and we're just throwing things in there, that cost is going to get higher and higher each and every month. And so that's kind of what the landscape of the three major haulers right now is, that Waste Management, Republic are going to come in a little bit lower, but they have these extra fees. And so if you're not efficient with it, that bill can rise and rise. Edco is going to come in at a much higher rate on a monthly basis, but it's going to be kind of a flat fee. You can expect it's not going to change too much.
And that's kind of the San Diego market. But like, honestly, in these Northern California markets, I've seen the rates are even more drastic for some of the fees that they're putting on there. And it can take a bill from, say you have a $3,000 bill, it can take a $3,000 bill and double it, you know, in a month. So if you're not staying on top of it, it can get away from you quickly. And all of a sudden they implement the technology into a certain location where you weren't getting hit. And then boom, all of a sudden your bills are getting up there and a lot higher too. So it can happen quickly, and you have to react quickly on some of these things.
Well, and I will just end with, you know, the one thing for us and our company, this has been just a value add for us. You know, we think about ways in which we're helping property managers do their work. This is now for us one more step that we are having to take to hopefully make your guys' lives easier as property managers, make our properties more efficient, and us add value to what we do. So thank you guys very much. We really appreciate you guys joining us today. You have mine and Jeff's emails and contact information. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. We really kind of enjoy having these conversations.
Yeah, this is good. Thank you guys for getting on here. Oh, Cheryl had one more question. Yeah, so we do that. We, like, a lot of times we'll outsource to a local company just because the service is a little bit more reliable. You know, so that's something to be considered. Where we can put those in when we look at your agreement, see if we can wrap some free ones into it, or have a monthly service where we can do it. So that's definitely something that we could look into for you if you have on a specific property. So we use a company called Universal Waste, which our owner has a stake in. So that's we get a little bit better service, or it's really reliable for us anyways. And I'm sure they would be for anybody else. So that's something you could do to go outside the hauler, because I know, gosh, in franchises it can be tough too, where you have to wait a week to get stuff picked up.
Well, and a lot of times that's what causes the overages. You know, somebody's moving out and they'll throw some, you know, it's a weekend where two people move out and they're throwing large items into the dumpsters. They're at the bottom. You know, all of a sudden you're just in your normal trash cycle, but all of a sudden it's an overage fee. And yeah, just communicating to people that are moving in and out about where they and how we can get rid of bulk items, which that's what we can help with.
That's a good point, because honestly, I just looked at a property the other day and they were getting away with it forever with Republic, where they weren't getting overages, and they'd have their maintenance staff, you know, breaking the items down as much as possible and throwing them in, and it was a great way to save some money on bulk items. But what happened recently is they were getting, you know, $65 overages or $75 overages, and it just started really taking apart their bill. So
and we've seen overages go all the way up to $150. We've seen, you know, trash bills that are $300 a month on a regular basis be $600-700, you know, 100-200 times the normal cost, because the overages are, you know, basically out of control. So anyway, thank you guys very much. We just love talking about this. We appreciate you guys spending your time. We want to be a resource for you. So please call, email, ask questions. We'd love to help. If we currently service some of your properties. Thank you for working with us. We really enjoy getting to work with you guys. And if you have any other properties you'd ever like us to look at, we look at them for free. We give you our opinions, we give you a quote, and that's it. So thank you so much. And you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.